Hello, everyone. Remember us? It is I, Eric Vasquez, and joining me on the line is my podcasting partner in crime. She is Shay Hickson, and together we are the Ringside Rundown Podcast. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Get comfortable. Shay, how are you doing, my friend?
Well, I'm alive, so I can tell the I can tell the viewers and the listeners I'm alive. Like I
She's
know it's
alive.
I felt like it's been I'm not even gonna say forever because it really was only a couple weeks, but
Right.
it was just like everything that was happening all at once for me. Like I had a wedding, I had to go out of town for the wedding. I had physical therapy appointments for my shoulder, but luckily we're cleared from that, so we're done with that. My shoulder's healed now, so that's great.
Good to go.
Various events that I had to go to, Steelers games, which I'm happy about that. Like
Hey, let's
we're
go
doing well. Like
Steelers.
you
Let's
might as
go
well cheer for you
Pittsburgh.
might as well cheer for us, Eric,
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
you guys over there are just
New
I don't
York
know what's
sports
going on.
entirely is in the dumpster. I don't want to talk about it because I don't think
Tired.
did we even record during like the World Series? Like I don't think we did,
Um,
right?
I don't think game 7 or what
I
was it,
don't
6?
no, I don't even want to know what
Okay.
game it is. I'm going to lose my mind,
The
Shay.
end.
But
The end. Like,
yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
let's just leave it at your
Yeah.
Steelers are doing wonderful.
Yep.
Football is going very, very well for you, and I am glad that we are able to record a new episode of the podcast. Because, like I always tell people, like no matter what, how much work and effort and energy you and I put into this is still supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be kind of like a release for us as wrestling fans,
Yeah.
and basically a hobby. It's not supposed to be something that we have to sacrifice any piece of our peace and mental stability for. That's why whenever you're like, oh my god, I don't want to, keep have to delay the pod. And it's just like it's okay. Like the podcast is always going to be here, and as you can see, I'm always going to find a way to keep busy regardless.
Yeah, that's I will say, guys, that's the good thing about Eric is that he keeps the content going when I am like off in the void somewhere. Like I always joke about it, like right when we do recordings, I always pop into the Discord and like show everybody I'm still here. I'm just in the
Yeah.
shadows, but it's just like life is just so crazy sometimes, and I always appreciate having a partner like Eric who doesn't hold that against me because having a corporate job does suck the life out of you quite a bit, and trying to just have a social life and circle and just events that keep you from absolutely losing your mind. Sometimes it just feels like I have no free time. So I'm glad that I have a great partner, and I'm glad that we finally get to record after what feels like 84 years, but the reality was 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in that 2 weeks time, we have a lot to talk about. For anybody that is new here, welcome in. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's episode. We are a pro wrestling podcast, and the way we talk about pro wrestling is we allow the listeners to tell us what they want to talk about. So basically, this entire show is what listeners want us to talk about in the form of questions. They ask us what certain topics they want to know, whether it's in WWE, AEW, or anywhere beyond, and we give our thoughts. And the best thing about it is that we give our thoughts from a perspective as fans. For as long as we've been running this podcast, I've never gotten the feeling that we've done an episode or said anything in context or out of context where we acted as if we were smarter than the average fan or
No.
we were somewhere part of the business. I feel like our strong suit is that we always try to give the best perspective from a fan's point of view.
Yeah, and I think we pretty much just I feel like what we always say too is that we don't like going with what everybody else is talking about. Like if it's a hot button issue or whatever, inevitably it's probably going to come up, but we don't do like what literally everybody else does, where it's like, here's a recap of Raw, here's a recap of NXT, here's a
Right.
recap of Dynamite, because it's just like we tried it and it worked for a little bit. Not gonna lie, it's what kind of got us off the ground. But then after a while, it was just like we don't have time to watch all of this in a week
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
still keep our sanity. So it's nice to have a community of followers and listeners who weekly on a literally a regular basis always contribute questions and keep the show going, because we always say if you guys don't ask us questions, it's just Eric and I screaming into a microphone, which
Pretty
I mean,
much.
some people might find entertaining. I don't know. You do you. But for us, we kind of like that little interaction with our community. That again, Eric's done a great job of cultivating, especially on Discord. I went back in and I'm just like, wow, this is even different than when I was in there last. So big props to Eric.
Thank you, thank you. I have a lot of fun with it. We've been seeing. I mean, the numbers on like YouTube are going crazy. We just crossed 900 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah,
We're almost at 1,000 followers on TikTok. This past Friday, while streaming, we got a big raid from Conman167, who's like
yeah,
one of the top wrestling content creators, not just on Twitch, but on his YouTube partner and everything like that. And he took a gamble and just sent his community over to me while I was streaming, trying to watch Rampage, and then the entire stream just broke. Like
it just went
it,
done.
it literally just broke, like, because my follower alert is the final countdown from All
Oh
In.
no,
So
yeah.
it was just the final countdown over and over and over and over. It was the most insane thing I've ever had happen to me in my entire life, and it was cool. It was dope. So it kind of rejuvenates you. That's why I'm excited that we can get into a new episode and I have something new for people to plug rather than what's going on stream. So I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, you ready? You ready to
Yes,
do this? All
let's
right.
do it.
All right. So let me I just had it open on a tab and now I went away from it.
See, that's what happens when we start yapping.
It's the rust. The rust gotta knock it off.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So our questions are from Mike and Mom. So where do we want to start today?
Let's go with Mike.
Alrighty. So Mike's first question is who would we have feud with John Cena when he starts his last year of wrestling?
Hmm, very good question.
You could pretty much put anybody's name in there and be like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I'd like to see him and Randy go at it again because they
Mhm.
had definitely one of the best like rivalries of like my wrestling fandom like existence, like just how personal and how intense all that shit got back in the
Right.
day, like in the 2010s, or late 2000s. Like I'd like to see them go at it one more time. Somebody newer, again, pick whoever. I mean, I'm sure Gunther's always a good
Right.
choice. Throw in maybe LA Knight. They've kind of teased out a little bit. Hell, throw Carmelo Hayes in there because why the hell not? Like,
Yeah, Carmelo would be fun.
it would be a lot of fun. Like, it's just, again, he's just that good that you could literally throw anybody in there with him and it would be a great rivalry regardless. So I think he's pretty much ripe for choice at this point because he's pretty much going to call the shots, I'd assume.
Oh yeah. Oh
He'll just
yeah.
be like, I want to wrestle this guy and it'll happen. So,
Right, and he'd probably like in this new regime, whatever he want to do, he's not going to get any pushback
no.
from management, like, because like before it would probably, like, he would suggest something and it still would be in the hands of megalomaniac. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, in this case, he's probably not going to get any pushback on anything that he would want to do. I honestly, my choice would just to kind of almost sort of get it out of the way, it
Mhm.
would be to go with Gunther.
Yeah.
Either way, either if you want to put the championship on Cena or you want Gunther to go over, just get it out of the way,
Yeah.
just get it out of the way, get the suspense, get the big ticket sales, because once you put John Cena, Gunther on the marquee, that's going to sell tickets like crazy.
Oh,
What
yeah. Like, that could even be a WrestleMania thing, honestly.
it honestly could be a WrestleMania thing, or it could be a sold out show in Des Moines, Iowa, or you know
Maybe.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you know
really.
what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
anywhere you put Gunther versus John Cena for the World Heavyweight Championship, it's gonna sell out. Now, I mean, and it you can either go either way. You
Mhm.
either have the banger match with Gunther and Gunther wins, so he's sort of passing the torch on to Gunther while doing the rest of his tour for fun, or you make it even more interesting where he gets his last title reign and he has to continue that. Almost like it kind of reminds me of like that game mode a Mortal Kombat where you start off and
Yeah.
you start off the tower from
Yep.
the bottom, and every win you go up the tower. Imagine starting as champion and then you go from Gunther to Randy Orton, then to like an uppercomer like Carmelo Hayes, then Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Seth Rollins. Like
Yeah.
the whole John Cena thing puts into perspective that time is something that we never get enough of.
No.
Because John Cena, what, on this tour is going to have what, 40 matches or so, or
Something like that.
appearances or something. We
Yeah.
don't know the semantics of the contract until it happens in front of us as fans. But either way, it seems like a lot of time on paper, but it's gonna go by in a flash.
Yeah.
Like, and it's honestly, I think maybe John Cena did it this way so that we won't get enough time to like settle in and be like, oh my god, it's happening, it's gonna
Yeah.
happen, it's just gonna happen, and we're just gonna be like, what the fuck, you know?
Like,
Like,
wait a minute, it wasn't
yeah,
supposed to start yet.
yeah,
Like, yeah.
like we're gonna be so blindsided that it happened so fast that we're not even gonna have time to grieve,
Yeah.
because that's honestly what it feels like. It feels like we're going to grieve, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
Because I mean, what other person had this type of situation where they're like, okay, this is the last run, and then you look back and go, this person was pretty much a very wholesome person, a good ambassador for pro wrestling. You can't say that about Hogan. You can't say that about any of the big, whoever you want to put on Mount Rushmore, Flair, anybody. And then the good ones died before we could even say like, hey, go on your final run into the sunset. Like, to find that wrestler
Yeah.
that is universally wholesome and loved and was given the chance to go out on their own terms and kind of ride off into the sunset,
Hmm.
ones that had the impact like John Cena has had on professional wrestling, is very hard, you know,
Oh yeah.
cuz like Austin's we didn't see coming. It just happened. He was just like, "Oh yeah, WrestleMania 19, that was my last one." And we're like, "What?" You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Really.
The Rock, and some, this is the first time this is somebody from kind of our childhood, sort of our teenage years, going, okay, these are my last amount of times you're gonna see me, and then I'm going away. Like, it's like the fucking last episode of Blues Clues or something,
Yeah.
which which
Literally though.
yeah, it's just, that's kind of the feeling that you get overall, like this is really gonna happen.
Yeah. It and it's not even just wrestling too. It's like, I mean, obviously for us, it's sports like football, baseball,
Hmm.
hockey. It's just like you see these people that you grew up watching, and then you're like, wait a minute, you're not supposed to retire. You're not supposed
Right,
to leave. You're supposed to be here forever. What the hell? And it's just
right.
like, it is very hard to believe that there is a relatively soon going to be a world where Cena is not in WWE anymore. And it's just like, God damn. Yeah. It's like, and good on him for not like making us like you said, oh well, it's coming, all right, we're here, we're doing it. It's just like we know when we're gonna know, and it's gonna be over when we know it's gonna be over. Like,
Yeah, like I think that's the way he constructed it, to where we're just like, "Oh, this is nice. It's Cena's last run," and then you're like, "It's Cena's last run and it's over." You know?
yeah, and then you're like, wait a minute, it just started, stop.
Right, yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah.
It's just it's gonna be insane. But again, when you analyze it, you think, wow, when was the last time we had a guy say, hey, this is my last 3 matches ever, and I'm done leaving. Peace out. Like,
Yeah.
and you're like, they were great for wrestling, they never did anything wrong, they're a great person. Hard to do, hard to do
Yeah.
in pro wrestling. John Cena's up there where you're like, okay, this is the last
This is
40
it.
times we're going to see John Cena, and then he's done, and then a piece of your existence is
Yeah. Your
just gonna
childhood is gone.
fade away, like, like
Ugh.
life and time. Again, time is something we never get enough of and we never get back.
I just say time's a myth.
It
It
is.
really
You're
is,
right.
because it's like you blink and it's like this thing I saw earlier. It was on Twitter, I think, or something, where they're like, "Okay, well, we're 2 months away until 2025. What do you I don't know, it's just like one of those stupid, like, "Oh, well,
Yeah.
what do you wanna say, or do you wanna change anything?" And I'm like, "It's not 2 months before the end of the year." And then I looked, I'm like, "Oh, it's November already. What do
Yeah.
you" like,
I
"Oh."
I did that yesterday because they played the Christmas M&M's commercial where
Oh, yes.
Santa
Yep.
Claus pass out, and I'm like, "Why are they playing this? It's only no oh crap, it's November." Like,
Yeah,
it's just
like,
like,
what the
you
fuck?
yeah, it's just like, again, it's life, man. It's
It is.
John Cena. That's gonna be the title of the episode, John Cena and the Passage of Time.
Yeah, there you see, we got one question in and we figured it out already,
There
like,
you go. There you go.
oh god, time. You just ugh. Anyway, um, well, this is a good question. Where's Scorpio Sky? I have no idea. I don't know. I feel like they just don't know what to do with him because he can't be
Yeah.
still hurt. Like, he
No.
can't be.
There's no way. The Scorpios, it's like Carmen San Diego, but
Yes.
it's
Where in
just
the world is Scorpio Sky?
yeah, where they should really turn that into a gimmick. Like, where in the world is Scorpio Sky? Because like you said, if he was hurt, then he should no longer be hurt unless it's something super serious. Um I mean, look how many people have come back before Scorpio Sky has come back. Like,
Yeah,
he was injured, and there's people like Adam Cole who got injured after Scorpio Sky got injured and still came back. Like
yeah,
Jamie Hayter,
yep,
Britt Baker,
yeah,
Julia Hart has her return vignettes
yeah.
already. Like, all of these people have gotten hurt within the time frame that Scorpio Sky has gotten hurt, and they make their way back and he's still doing something.
Him and Ricky Starks are hanging out probably.
I mean,
Cause right.
one of those things is not like the other in terms of, I mean,
Yeah.
the and
Well, you never know. It might
in,
be. It might be.
in the grand scheme of things, the and this is going to sound harsh, it really is, but if you go, man, I really want to know where Scorpio Sky's been. Everybody else is just gonna go, oh yeah,
Yeah,
like
him.
remember him,
Yeah.
Scorpio Sky. Powerhouse Hobbs
Yes.
came back
Yes.
before Scorpio Sky came back. So again, I don't know. At least give credit to AEW. They're very good. If there is something happening kind of like behind the scenes where you're like, what's going on with this person? They are very good somehow at being kind of hush hush about it, because it's the same situation with Ricky Starks. It's the same
hmm
situation with Malachi Black. It's like,
Ah,
what are those guys doing?
well, I mean, we have a question about that later, so we'll
Right.
we'll get into that one later. Yeah. Other than that, I don't know where he is. He's just sitting at home, I guess. Like that's the only
Being
thing that makes
Scorpio
sense.
being Scorpio Sky.
Being Scorpio Sky, like it's always just weird. It's just weird
Yeah.
when they're gone for so long because it's just like, guys,
Very.
what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
Um. Anyways, do we keep war games 4-on-4 or do we make it 5-on-5 for the men? And who's our women's 4-on-4?
Mm.
Well, I feel like we kind of already have the men's figured out. It's already
Mm.
kind of there. We already got the bloodline versus the bloodline, so that one kind of already is
Yeah, but still,
self-explanatory.
who is the fifth man for the OG bloodline? I mean, we all know who it's gonna be,
Yeah.
or at least I have my prediction, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of written on the wall in terms of who I think it's gonna be and who everybody else thinks it's gonna be. My thing is, and I'm sorry to cut it off and kind of get sidetracked, but I have to get this out before I forget.
Mhm.
My thing is, this entire situation for war games, no matter if it's 4-on-4 or 5-on-5, this entire situation is gonna send Kevin Owens to the psych ward. Like,
Oh,
this
yes. Oh, yes.
this
Oh,
this man
yikes.
is going to lose his mind, okay?
Yeah.
Because think about the entire bloodline situation Kevin Owens has kind of been woven into in some form or fashion,
Yeah.
whether it's been in singles or tag team competition. But think about it, even going back as far as WrestleMania 39, where he won the
Mhm.
tag team titles in the main event with his best friend, who finally got away from the shackles of being in the bloodline. All of a sudden, this guy goes back and he goes back to the bloodline, and
Yep.
then Cody Rhodes, Mr. Rah Rah, WWE against the bloodline, the one guy who would never ever join up with the bloodline, is going to join forces not only once but twice with Roman Reigns.
Yeah. Yeah. Kevin's just like, am I the only sane person here?
Yeah,
Like,
and you expect this man to act civil?
no,
Like
not at all.
like I I don't agree with Kevin Owens' tactics, but I
Oh, no.
understand because at a certain point you got to be like they're just doing this to troll him. Like, like
Yeah. They're just
this is
trying him.
yeah, this is a targeted attack. But once again, go back to the question.
Yeah, I mean obviously we know it's going to be for the men 5 on 5. The women, I have I have some problems. I feel like they're doing that thing where, oh, we've been so preoccupied with this whole Liv and Raquel and Judgment Day versus Damien and Rhea that they kind of forgot that, oh, hey, War Games is coming up. We kind of need to do that. And then Rhea
Yeah,
gets hurt. So now it's like, is she going to be in it or not? And
right.
we have to dodge the spoilers on social media right now because they're taping the Raws. And so it's just like, I just this was supposed to be a slam dunk kind of match, and they just made it so goddamn like convoluted.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, but also when you have it right next to the bloodline, it's kind of like gonna pale in comparison for like completely.
Right.
But
I think one's gonna have to open the show and then the other closes, you know?
yeah, and the women are gonna probably open it because
Which I don't have a problem with because
I don't either.
either way, the women are gonna kill it. Like it's kind of been historically proven whenever there's like a gimmick match for the men and one for the women, and they do one or the women have been outshining the men kind of
Yeah.
consistently.
Yeah, exactly. I'm hoping that this one can be the case, can be that as well, because just the build up for it is just, I just feel like they should have been working on this months ago. Kind of like with
Hmm.
the bloodline. It was one of those where it's like everybody knew it was going to end in war games, but they at least like hinted at, okay, this is where we're going to be going. With the women, it was just like they were so preoccupied with their own stuff that they kind of forgot that, oh, hey, we're going to have to like actually make this all make sense right before war games. And now all of a sudden, oh, I don't know what's it going to be in 2 weeks. Now 2 weeks before it, you're like, oh, we should probably start building up to that. It's like, guys, that's not how you do it. It's not how you do it at all. Because I feel like right now, at least from what we've seen, it's gonna be, you got Liv and Raquel on one side, and then I would
Hmm.
assume Naya and Tiffany,
Hmm.
and then you got Jade, Bianca, Naomi, and Io, which I'm like, that's very odd, like, booking, but one, hey, whatever.
Right.
And then it's just like, if they're gonna do 5 on 5, you still need one more for each side. So who the hell? I mean, we kind of already know if someone is medically cleared, we know who's going to be on the one side. Rhea's got to be in this match if she can
If
be in
she,
there.
that's
If,
gonna be tough.
but that's the thing. If, and
Yeah.
my problem is then kind of like the problem with the heel side or the bad guy side. Who the fuck do you put in there where people aren't just going to go, oh, okay, like I guess
Here,
like
like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's like it.
Zelina, maybe she has a problem with everybody.
I
Like,
mean, I was actually thinking if they do it 5 on 5 and they need one for each side for the good guys, you have Meechin on one side. For the
ooh,
heels,
yes,
you have Chelsea Green.
I'd be
Um,
okay with that.
and that's kind of what we talked about yesterday during the stream. If you expanded the war games, the thing is like it's a good and bad thing because there's so many women that you can use now, and then
Yeah,
there's so many stories individually that the women are telling. So
yeah,
how do you weave them in so they all make sense in a war game situation? Because like they
yeah.
said, like we were talking about yesterday, like you kind of have to have Io Sky in the war games because she's an absolute lunatic, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. The one that I want in though, as much as I would, it's so tough because thank God Dakota's back. Like we're
Mhm.
back. We're so back. We're so
Mhm.
fucking back. But I don't know if I'd want to throw her in war games right away. Like she
Yeah,
just came back, and the worst part is that it pains me to say that she shouldn't be in this match because I've said it before. Every fucking war games match she's been in, she's been the MVP hands down, like no questions asked.
right.
But just coming back from a surgery, I don't know if that's going to be like the best idea.
Right, you
So
gotta be careful, protect the investment.
it hurts my soul. But if she's hopefully destined to win a certain one of two secondary titles, then I will forego it. It's fine. But yeah, I guess like Chelsea's a good one too. I mean, you could put. I mean, if you want to say, I mean, Shayna for the just the sake of she has experience in war games.
Right,
Um, I mean, you could also put Bailey in there too, but then that could also create its own like mess of problems on the good guy side
right.
because then Bailey and E are gonna have some problems, and then everyone's gonna be like
Y
all mad at each other, and it's just
Yeah, yeah,
like,
because then they would have to rehash the old, damage control
yes,
beef, you
yes,
know? Yeah, so, like,
could be
honest
drama. We like drama.
yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true, it does kinda make sense. I would go with on the heel side, that's gonna be the toughest, the heel
Yeah,
side,
because none of them really
because
make sense.
yeah, yeah, who can you put in there? Like,
And don't even, and you can't even bring up anybody from NXT because then it's really
it
not gonna
just
make any
yeah,
sense.
it just really wouldn't who is, like, the heels, like, the bad guy? I mean, I guess Tiffany, and then you
Chelsea,
Tiffany, Chelsea, you'd have to put in Nia.
yeah,
You'd have to put in Nia.
Liv and Raquel,
Liv and Raquel, there you go, there's your 5. There's your
which,
there's your
uh,
it's okay. I mean, it's
eh,
okay, but I
it's
guess it
fine.
exposes the fact that, that maybe they're a little light on the heel side for the women, and it's something that they maybe need to work on.
Well, it's tough because I feel like it's not that those heels are bad, it's just that they're not putting a lot of I don't wanna say concerted effort because that's the wrong way of putting it. It's like they're getting exposure, but it's just not really like
Sustainable.
yeah, it's not doing anything,
Right.
like, for example, anybody from the I hate saying it, the Pure Fusion Collective, I still hate that name to this day,
we
but
we've
whatever.
we've christened them PF Changs.
But you know what? I'd rather say PF Chang's, that's a good one. The problem is they're all great, but it's just and they're getting TV time, that's the
Right.
worst part, it's still just
It's funny
not
because
hitting.
that's my exact summation of it is, like, individually, they're pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Collectively, as a group, you're like,
Eh,
"I don't get it." Like, like,
no PF Chang.
yeah, what is it? Like, what are we doing here? Like,
Yeah,
so it's just like, I mean, I like that, but that's like again, that's the thing that maybe they're a little bit light on the heel side for the women. And they rely too much on the characters like Naya and
yeah,
Tiffany to kind of carry the load as bad, characters for the women's division. And like they should be utilizing like people like Chelsea and
yeah,
Piper, who
yeah,
are both very charismatic and believable characters. As far as like the faces, the good guys, it's easy. It's gonna be Jade, Bianca, Naomi,
Io,
um, EO, which again is kind of weird because again,
yeah,
how does why just EO? How does I
yeah,
mean,
not
like you said,
Kyrie,
yeah,
not
yeah, right.
like,
And I get what you're saying about Dakota, but it's still in reality, how are they not? How would Dakota be like? Why not me? I'd like to go in there and like
yeah,
go into. But yeah, it'd probably be EO, and then we need a fifth, and then you would hope that maybe Rhea can come back.
in a perfect world, because 'cause I'm tired of dealing with this shit, like,
Yeah,
believe me, like,
like I
I feel like she'd be the only one that makes the most sense. I mean, again,
may
Bailey maybe, but
maybe Rhea could get the Randy Orton treatment that he got last year when it was like, yeah, we know it's gonna be Randy Orton, but we're not gonna let you know to the very last second. So
maybe, yeah.
so that way, like it'll be at the go home episode of like SmackDown at like the closing segment.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, you know who's gonna be the next woman in the War Games match?" And it's just Rhea Ripley, and then the crowd goes crazy, and that's how they close the show. You
Yeah.
know, and
I
then
mean,
you're
it
like,
could happen.
I gotta wait till tomorrow. Like, like
Yeah, be like, "I don't wanna wait,"
yeah,
like
exactly, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like some oh god, I don't know, through, like, witchcraft, devil magic, something, she's gotta be in this match. Like, it's just gonna be so weird if you have Liv and Raquel on one side and Rhea's not on the other, like, it's just gonna be so fucking weird.
This
I will perform a ritual of some sorts to get Rhea healthy enough to be in that match.
we wouldn't have this situation if she just didn't headbutt somebody like a real.
See, but apparently it wasn't the headbutt, though.
Oh, it wasn't.
No, it was, not long after that when Liv did the double knees, and, like, I think that's what
Oh,
caught her, because if you go back and watch it,
what is
you
Liv's knees made out of? Titanium?
I guess, they must be, because I guess if you, like, go back and watch it and she hits those knees, you can see Rhea, like, quickly, like, put her hand up to, like, her forehead, but then, like, remember she has to, like, lower it down, so
Ooh,
I think that's when she got, actually injured. It didn't have anything to do with that headbutt, so
my word, that's crazy.
see, I pay attention to some things sometimes, trust me. But either way, I will perform some sort of satanic ritual just to get Rhea healthy enough to be in that
Hey,
match, mark
hey,
my words.
we have to send a honorary an honoring to the House of Black to
We
get her
will.
back.
We'll do it, like, we'll we just need to have it happen.
We need it.
Alright, will Xavier Woods succeed in turning the New Day heel?
Not the New Day, but Xavier.
Him.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's because I mean, this is a rather simple answer because we've mentioned it before, and clearly it just continues to prove itself. Anything the Karrion Cross touches dies.
Yeah. This this
So,
this whole thing, it just makes.
in a good way, first off, like, everything he does, like, it's almost like kinda, like, compared, but not really, to, like, House of Black, where it's, like, any person they, like, get their hands on, like, the corruption starts.
Right.
Carrion does the exact same thing, and I'm glad that people are starting to finally come around to the fact that he does good work, because I'm just sitting here going, "Yeah, I fucking knew it this whole time, guys." It's just like, I'm glad you're all catching on, but
But this whole situation with the New Day makes me very,
sad.
very sad.
Yeah.
It's literally like watching your parents fight on the brink of divorce. Like
Yeah, literally,
like
though.
right in front of you. Every interaction
Mhm.
now between Kofi and Xavier is so awkward and
Yeah.
uncomfortable, and
Mhm.
you're just like, I don't want to be here right now. Like, I would do anything not to be in this room witnessing this situation between mom and dad. I don't like it. You
You're
know?
like, "Guys, please stop fighting, you're tearing this family apart."
Exactly. What makes me mad is, where is Big E? Like, help.
Honestly I just had a bad thought, because is it when are they doing, like, the celebration of the New Day? Is that
Uh,
next week?
yeah, it's supposed to be like, is it next week?
I don't remember, I've
Or
lost
was it
track
for, I
because,
thought it
like,
would might have been for like around Christmas time, maybe.
I don't know, because I'm losing track because 'cause they're doing the tapings and nothing's
Right.
live and whatever, and there's spoilers flying all over Twitter right now, but what
Yeah.
if, like, Kofi as, like, kind of like a pseudo goodwill, like, thing brings Big E back, and then Xavier turns on both of them, and that's what really gets him, like, in the shit.
Ooh,
I
why do
hate it.
you
I hate saying it, but it's the truth, though, like,
why would you do that?
because I have to, it's our job,
I
but
mean,
it
like,
sucks, but it
it
makes sense.
does.
Like, if you really want, like, kinda like how we always would say with, like, if you want people to, like, get pissed off at you as an AEW superstar, you mess with Tony Schiavone, like, that would get people to hate Xavier Woods, as if he messes with, like, Big E. He doesn't have to hit him, just, like, cut a scathing, like, promo on him or something, and he's like, "Why didn't you just go break your neck again or
No,
something?"
no, no,
Like,
he's gonna have to take him out. You gotta sell it. You
yeah,
gotta sell it.
I mean, at the very least, you just have to, like, eviscerate him on the mic, at the very
You
least.
you can do the deal where like he somehow gets Kofi like handcuffed to the ropes, and
Yeah.
he makes Kofi watch him destroy Big E in a certain way,
Mhm.
like,
Yes,
mm,
yes. Like, yeah.
oh
I feel like
man.
I just pulled a carrying cross there for a minute. I said it, I waited a minute, and then you just
I just
took it
ran
to
with
a
it.
whole other level, so you're
Yeah.
welcome.
Oh
Corruption
man,
continues,
I
but
I feel disgusting.
you feel like you need a shower now, like, I don't
Yeah.
I get it, I get it.
Oh
Hopefully
man.
not, but unfortunately, I think, like, yeah, he's not gonna turn the entirety of the New Day heel because I just don't think it would work, but him, absolutely. Like, he's gone. Like, he's too far gone at this point.
Wow.
I hate saying oh, that just sounded weird saying, ugh, and like that. Well, and then we go from that to this. Are we making Gunther versus Goldberg's retirement match? Do we have does he have to have one?
I
Like,
mean, ultimately, that's my feeling is like, do we have to do this? Like,
yeah, I don't
but
know why, but if we have to, then yeah, let Gunther cave his chest
yeah,
in, sure.
yeah, like might as well just might
Get
get
him
it
out of the
over
way.
with. Yeah,
Yeah,
get it
exactly.
over with.
Get him out of here.
Yeah,
Like,
like
no one's actually gonna think Goldberg's gonna beat him, so it's like,
like
okay, put old grandpa out the pasture, I guess.
yeah,
Like,
like do Goldberg's favorite, do it at a Saudi show,
oh god,
where he has such great luck, and just get it, like, again, get it out of the way.
it. I just wish you didn't have to do it at
Oh
all. Because again, it's like
man.
who fucking wants to see that? But
Mhm.
uh, well, we ripped that band-aid off, so there we go. We did that question. Um, all right. So since Las Vegas is a UFC stronghold, does Ken Shamrock go into the Hall of Fame this year?
Ooh, I like
I
that.
mean, it can happen. I mean, if it's gonna happen in any year, it would be this year in Vegas. So
I like that, and
I say why not? Why not?
yeah, and I feel like Ken Shamrock, is deserving of his flowers, and he kind of just doesn't get his just due. I think he
No.
had a really crazy impact, and not necessarily on just wrestling, but the idea of like someone like Ken Shamrock coming from the UFC and then coming into wrestling, and like he didn't have a crazy run where he was like
Yeah.
crazy successful, but he had a couple moments where you're like, yeah, he would definitely be in like the top maybe 15 of the Attitude Era, if
Oh
you're
yeah.
if you're ranking Attitude Era stars.
I agree. So I would be totally for it.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's Vegas. You get the easy tie-in right there. I mean, it'd be kind of silly not to do it. So I
Right.
feel like I'm not going to say it's almost a guarantee, but there's a pretty good chance. I think if it would be any year, it would be this year.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so this is what we kind of talked about a little bit earlier. So, what are our thoughts on Malachi shaking Adam Cole's hand after that match? Is he done in AEW? Okay, so I remember watching that and going, "That's kind of weird. What the hell's going on?" So, of course, Twitter lost their minds as they do. And actually, I don't know if you saw this, but Malachi had a couple like Instagram stories where he's just like, "Guys, it was just a good match. I'm not going anywhere." He's like, if I'm, because I think the big thing with oh, he's retiring. He's like, he's done. He's retiring. He's like quitting, whatever. And he's like, I'm not retiring. If I'm leaving, you'll hear it from me. So he's like, I don't know why this comes up all the time. He's like, I wish it would stop because it's ridiculous. So, so apparently it was just a show of sportsmanship and nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, but it's so weird. You know,
Well, the whole thing with Adam Cole's just weird in a nutshell, and Mom's has a question about this whole like gauntlet bullshit, but we'll get to that later. But it's just like, I mean, it would have been weirder if Buddy hadn't done the same thing. I feel like if it was like Buddy just didn't want to do it, or just like there wasn't like this big hoopla after the match, but then Malachi went ahead and did it before everybody else, that would have been even weirder. But I think just the fact that Buddy did it the week before, it's just kind of like, okay, well, I guess House of Black's just shown respect to somebody, so I'm not too like freaking out about it, but that's just me.
right? Like I guess this is their way of saying, well, the House of Black, they're not bad guys anymore.
Yeah, they're
Um,
just vigilantes.
yeah, yeah, like they're the
They're Batman.
anti-heroes. Like,
Yes, which is just how we like them.
yeah, which I guess is fine. It's just.
Still House of Blacks. I mean, I'm not gonna complain. I just would like
Right,
them to
right.
stop like fucking losing
I think,
these
yeah,
goddamn matches.
that was my next point. I think it's crazy just the reaction of just it was like a universal just like ugh. Like, there
Yeah,
people are universally tired of seeing Malachi Black in particular
yeah.
take L's. It's just
Which speaking of, okay, now that you got me on that, now I'm fucking mad.
oh,
I am so fucking now I hope everyone will shut the fuck up about this whole, "Oh, well, he picks who he loses to. He doesn't wanna lose to certain
I
people."
mean,
It's like, shut the fuck up because he loses all the time. He
right,
loses all the time.
if he picks if he picks who he wants to lose to, he's picking everybody. Like,
Yeah, so it's just like, you guys are just fucking idiots saying that
right,
shit because one person said it one time, now everyone's just latched onto that, and it's just like, if that were the case, he wouldn't be losing all the time, guys, whether
right.
it's singles or tag team, so shut up. Please shut up, but they they just need to win something, and then when I saw that bracket for the tournament for Full Gear, as soon as I saw that they were against FTR, I out loud just went, "Why?
Yeah,
Why?"
yeah,
Because you know they're gonna fucking lose,
right,
and I'm over it. I'm tired of it. It's so annoying. It's just like, give them at least a win. Like, are they gonna win the titles? No, but it's just like, at least give them a singular win,
right.
as opposed to just, "Up, you're just a first round out now." Like, congrats. Like, it's annoying. I hate it so much.
I agree. I agree. I mean, you basically took the words right out of my mouth. Like it's so crazy how there's just like everybody's like, yeah, this is not good. This is not what we want. Like we need this guy to be important on the show.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, and the fans like House of Black, like, they get reactions every single time they're
right,
out there, like, the entrance never gets old,
right.
like, I mean, we're also biased, but the fact of the crowds never get tired of seeing them, so it's just like, "Can we catch on a little bit, Tony, please?" I don't know what more they have to do.
Yeah. So it's just like wait and see, I guess.
It's not the story of most of our favorites' lives, like,
Yeah.
I said we tend to find the ones that give us the hardest battles to to fight because 'cause we're just like just some of our favorites, we just have to sit back probably and just go, it's really tough. It's a battle every day being a fan of House of Black, Shayna, Dakota, and Eddie for you right now,
Right.
especially. It's just like
We have a whole roster of people on the bench right now that are hurting.
literally we're
Or
going through it.
yeah, we're going through it. Perfect way to put it.
It's just that's the secondary title of this. We're going through it.
Yeah.
Um, but anyways, though, ooh, who would we rather have retire, JR or Tony Schiavone?
Um, I would
JR.
yeah, I would just go with JR. Not because and you know what's funny is that JR is actually his last couple appearances, like I was kind of like, oh well, it hasn't been that bad. Like he
No, but
hasn't he I didn't for some reason. All right, he keeps saying that he signed Brian Danielson 25 years ago. What the
uh-huh.
the math ain't mathin'. Like
Yeah, it's I think he's just kinda losing it a little bit, and
right,
it's just like, you'll catch him saying things sometimes where it's just like,
but
maybe that should have just been an inside thought,"
he he
but
he keeps saying that and I'm just like that would be 1999 and that
oh,
would
yeah,
be around the time that Brian Danielson like really just got into wrestling and you're telling me you signed him?
yeah, exactly, it's just like,
The math
I don't know, the math's not mathing.
the math
Like,
the math and he keeps saying it and I feel like Excalibur's the only one that like on the inside he's like that's not right but like he can't say anything because it's JR. I love JR
yeah,
but I just think
it's
his
fine.
health wise his his cognitive abilities Tony Schiavone still has something of value. I think he has great dynamic with Excalibur and Taz.
Yeah.
They get a lot of flack as an announcing team, but they're probably my favorite team of announcers because they're just downright hilarious.
Oh,
Like
yeah, it's just my favorite parts are just when Excalibur or Nigel or someone will just say, "So something off the wall," and Tony's just like, I don't even know how to respond."
Yeah.
He's just so, like, over it that he's just
Yeah.
like, "I don't even," just that long pause of just, like, you could just see him shaking his head without seeing him
My
shaking his head. It is so fucking funny.
my thing is I want a commentary team of Taz, Tony Schiavone, and Booker T.
Oh god, could you
Like,
imagine? Could you
like,
imagine?
give me those 3 calling a wrestling show, and I would be so happy because it's not gonna make any sense at all, but it's gonna be
No.
the funniest thing you'd ever hear in your entire life. I mean, like, when Taz flies off the handle because he gets hot at Tony Schiavone, it's literally the funniest thing. I double over with, like, tears in my eyes. It's
Losing it.
yeah, it's hilarious.
It's yeah, no, I totally get it. I feel like and I will be the special guest commentator for literally any time Mariah May is on screen because I've just become Nigel at this point, just less obnoxious about it.
Yeah, Nigel is crazy, especially, like, when he passes out at his seat, like, he just
Well, I mean, do you blame him?
I don't because
No,
I would literally like, the kinetic saying you give kids at Christmas time? Like,
yes,
that would
just
be me,
crumble.
like, I would just
Literally, no, that would be me too.
yeah,
Like you and mom and I have had conversations off of like off of the podcast where it's just like everyone knows I love Mariah.
yeah.
And mom, like, gives me so much shit for it, but it's like, "Look at her. Could you blame me? Like, could you blame
It's
me?"
unfair. It's not
It really
fair.
is, and I hate everything. Like,
Yeah, it's not like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like,
stare, I
yeah,
guess. Like,
she's
respectfully.
LeBron James, and I'm the guy selling hot dogs at the little league game across the street. Like,
Literally.
you know,
Yeah, it's just like, I'm looking respectfully. She does nothing wrong in my eyes.
see, we're
And
just
yeah.
like Nigel McGuinness. We're no better than Nigel McGuinness.
Yeah, and you know
I
what?
don't even know how this topic came about. It's all Mariah May's fault.
'Cause you know what? What a great problem to have. Am I
Yeah,
right?
what a
Like,
great problem.
it's great.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Anyway, Mariah, just making us fucking lose it on this
Yeah.
podcast already. Okay, so when Adam Copeland comes back, which I don't even know when he's coming back at this point, at some point, who do we have him feud with when he comes back?
Ooh, gotta go with with Christian Cage.
Yeah, that's just right out the
I
gate.
mean,
Like,
and it kind of sucks because they already did
yeah,
it. They
yeah,
did it.
but we're doing it again because
Like, because
why not?
there's like literally there's nothing you can do. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe a situation with Bobby Lashley that might be cool,
maybe I could possibly revisit Malachi again, maybe.
but
But I don't want Malachi to lose again,
yeah,
so,
and
you know,
yeah,
like,
exactly. He would have to because you can't have Copeland lose, especially coming
yeah.
back from an injury. Like,
Yeah.
it has to be a feud he can win. The
Mm,
Christian thing is
like
easy.
McWayne, just at
But
least
no,
so
but
you're
again,
in.
but like the thing is, like, you can't get any better than what they did already in the first feud. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
can't top it.
you hit the ceiling, you hit the mark that you were supposed to hit with that. So like, you can't even revisit it. Like, at this point,
No,
it would be beating a dead horse. Um, it would just have to be a thing where it's a surprise appearance, you know?
yeah.
Let's just say for the sake of argument, he's ready to return rather shortly.
Mhm.
And you have the situation with Swerve and Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. It's a 2-on-1 situation. Swerve kind of needs a partner, and then in that way you can just do a surprise return with Copeland just to because he likes Swerve, he's ready to go, and Swerve needs help, and then that can catapult the idea for Copeland to go after Shelton Benjamin
Yeah.
and then Bobby Lashley. You can build off of that. That's literally the only thing I can think of because there's no other situation that you can kind of shoehorn Adam Copeland in and it'll make sense. It'll have to be something just kind of fresh where he just makes a random appearance to be Swerve's backup tag team partner in his situation with the Hurt Syndicate.
Yeah, that's better than my idea. My idea was just good old have him screw Christian out of the title.
I mean, you could do that as well, but again, it's like
It's
then
like because Christian shouldn't have it in the first place. Let's be honest. Because it's just like I still don't understand why that was a thing. Like I just don't get it. I don't really think anyone's clamoring for him to be a champion, like the champion. So it's like, just get it off him and just say it was a mistake. It's fine. You can admit you made a
It
mistake.
was a
Like,
mistake. I like how they replaced Luchasaurus with Kip Sabian.
yeah, literally, because that's the same thing.
Yeah, it's like okay. I mean
Sure, why
I mean
not?
I get I mean and then the thing that cracks me up is instead of just holding off for 3 weeks where you can replace Luchasaurus with Powerhouse Hobbs,
Yeah, no,
you go
Kip
with you
Sabian.
go with Kip Sabian.
And then you immediately turn the whole treatment that Luchasaurus got onto Nick Wayne now, where it's like, oh, you're the only son I'm proud of now, Kip, and you're what I want in a son, and it's just like, oh, so we're just like transferring
Yeah,
Luchasaurus' shit
yeah,
over to Nick Wayne now, I guess.
it's
Like,
just like, and
okay,
it, and
like,
it, and it shouldn't happen to Nick Wayne because Nick Wayne's like he's got unlimited potential, you know.
yeah, like this
He's got a
is,
limited. I call him the TikTok kid, you know.
yeah, I mean, really though,
But I
like,
mean, like he's got unlimited potential. It's like you don't want to
yeah,
kind of put him in a situation where you make him look like he's a goof, you know. Again,
exactly.
like, instead of just waiting until Powerhouse Hobbs was ready, because I mean, if you go from Luchasaurus to Powerhouse Hobbs, you go, okay, that kind of makes sense. It's kind
Makes
of,
sense.
but going Luchasaurus to Kip Sabian?
No, not at all, not in the least. I just, nah,
Boy,
it's gonna be a no for me.
I don't, yeah, exactly. That's the best way to put it. That's a no for me.
It's a no for me, dog.
Yeah.
So you go from one stinker to another.
Oof.
What are our thoughts on Camille's run so far in AEW? I have one word. It's a very simple word. Boring.
Oh.
I'm so just bored
Yeah.
because it's just like, okay, like I get that. Okay, let's rewind a
Uh-oh.
while ago where you and I called that she was going to be Mercedes is like heavy.
Yeah,
Like we
we
knew that,
we
oh, well,
we
that could
knew it.
happen,
Yeah.
whatever. So it's like, okay, that's good. And they have not done a single thing to like differentiate her from just like, oh, you're just the sidekick. You're just
Right.
like the heavy. It's just like it's literally like she doesn't talk, which let's be honest, seeing some of her posts, probably a good idea. We don't need to
Oof.
hear her talk. Like
Oof.
keep your shit out of your social media, but whatever.
Ooh.
Anyway, so besides that, it's just like, okay, what was so special about you? Stat handled you easy,
Yeah,
like
that was
easy.
dumb. If anything, if and and I hate to do this because to me, Camille reminds me of when they brought in Big Daddy Cole to be
Mhm.
Shawn Michaels' bodyguard. If
Yeah.
this was 1995, they would have had Camille beat Chris Statlander.
Yep.
Why
Yep.
you're supposed to have Camille beat like I don't
Yeah.
why? Like
Here's how bad, and this is how bad it is. Where, and I mean, of course, it's gonna sound like obvious coming from me because I love Stat, but I'm just like, just looking at that whole thing from the outside, you're just like, Camille can't beat her. Camille can't beat Stat. And the fact that the established, like, powerhouse woman is not going to lose to the up and coming we're supposed to take you seriously person, that already tells you right now that that it's a problem.
right and
When I'm sitting there going, there's no fucking way that she's losing to Camille. Camille has no reason winning this feud, and Camille's supposed to be the one you're supposed to take seriously because she's Mercedes lapdog.
right it's
And how well did that work?
yeah and honestly, like you can even script it because like Camille shouldn't talk, right?
Not at
But
all.
but her facial expressions are very good. You
Yeah.
know, like she can, as the kids say, serve some looks. You know,
She's expressive.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she's got that facial thing down.
Hmm.
Um, I honestly look at it, like a Kevin Nash situation. Like this is
Yeah.
like if Tony Khan was really the wrestling savant that he thinks he is, he'd be like, all right, we could just pivot and have Camille get pissed off at Mercedes and try to take out Mercedes, and we strap the rocket onto Camille. I mean,
Yeah.
she is the longest reigning NWA Women's Champion of all time. So like
Yeah.
she's no slouch. I mean, it's a different animal because that's Billy Corgan's NWA, and this is the despite what everybody thinks, this is AEW. This is kind of like the big leagues, so it's like
Yeah.
it's a different situation. But I think the potential's there. I think the potential's there with Camille. It just again, it's like
You can't even hit somebody with your car. So, like, how good
yeah,
are you really?
yeah.
Like,
I mean, like but again, like the whole Chris Statlander thing, like she should have beat Statlander. Like
nope.
and it wouldn't have hurt Statlander at all. Like
I've been mad, yes, but it
yeah,
would have made sense.
but like it would have been like as soon as it would have happened, it would have been like, oh man, Camille is not one to mess with. Like
Yeah, because if you can beat someone like Stat, that's a big deal. Like,
right, right, and
nobody can beat I mean, okay, I'm not gonna say, like,
it
there's no way anybody can beat Stat. It's just, like, she's a hard opponent to beat
right,
just because of the size and the strength and the what and the athleticism, so, yeah, for her to beat somebody like Stat, it'd be like, "Oh, shit, we need to start taking her seriously."
right,
And the
right.
fact that you didn't means that you're not as good as you think you are, as you're supposed to be perceived as. It's almost as if maybe if you had that offer for the NXT Performance Center, maybe you shouldn't have thought you were better than that.
Ooh.
And now look what happens to you. You look gassed within 5 minutes
Mm.
because you thought you were hot shit. You're,
Ooh.
you're like, oh well, I'm like the NXT's like the Performance Center's beneath me. I don't need no stupid Performance
Yee.
Center. That's the minor leagues. I'm just gonna sit at
Ah.
home. And then you finally get to show up, and this is what you give us?
My word, Shay emptied the clip.
Like, next time, don't think so
Man.
highly of yourself because clearly you're not really giving us a good impression. But it's just
Oh my word.
that's just like, it's the truth though. If you're gonna think you're above the performance center, which whatever, if that's how you think you are, fine. You better fucking back it up then.
Mm.
And she has not backed it up at all.
No,
Like,
and it's pretty bad that she's strapped on to somebody else who hasn't held up their end of the bargain
no.
in terms of coming in and doing something different.
Nope. So now now my clip's empty. I'm
Ooh,
done.
my
I feel
god,
like
that
I
was
feel
like
like I just
I felt like that was me talking about Chris Jericho. Like that was
yeah.
just like
Anyway, let me just like blow the smoke off the gun
whoop.
real quick. Just all
Oh
right.
my god. Okay. Please tell me the next topic is a lot happier.
Yeah, actually it is. I mean, I liked that though. That was like that's the truth though. It's like don't think so highly of yourself that you're above something like the performance center because look how well it worked for Jade. But
Hmm.
clearly Jade did check her ego at the door, so
Oof.
it is what it is. Anyway, before we can so we can just keep moving on. So Mike's last question is if we were to suggest a new style of match, what would it be? The last new style of match is probably Elimination Chamber. We're due for a new gimmick match.
That's tough because like the most like the Iron Survivor match from NXT
Yeah.
is probably the only one that I could think, wow, that's actually like there's a penalty box and like you can end
Yeah.
up in the penalty box and like somebody can wrap up pins and like the way they scripted the Trick Williams comeback last year for NXT in that Iron
Hmm.
Survivor, they say that's one of the greatest comebacks in wrestling history.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
because it was.
Yeah, like, so that's insane. So it's really, really tough to come up with a new concept for a new style match. For me,
Yeah.
I'm super simple. I always thought if I was a wrestling promoter and I wanted to have a gimmick match, I would have something called the three tables of hell match, which is basically
Okay.
you have to be the first person to put your opponent through three tables. you
Oof.
know? So,
Almost like
like,
a four-corner match, but with
yeah,
tables.
but with
Yeah.
tables, like, you have to put them through 3 tables instead of 1. So you
Yeah.
have the potential for, like, 5 big table spots if you wanna do, like, a 3-2 victory. That's 5 total table spots, and that doesn't even include, like, if it has to be a move, that has to be an offensive move to put you through the table. What about accidental moves? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Those count as extra tables. So, like,
Mhm.
you can have, like, 10 table spots if you wanted to. So, like, I always wanted to keep it simple and do something like that. But that's just kinda my brain can't think of anything else.
I feel like I mean, I can't really come up with anything either, so I guess, like, I can amend the question a little bit if I could bring a match back that we don't see anymore. And I I know that these matches are super gimmicky and they really would not work nowadays unless you had a very specific reason for using them, but I always thought Inferno matches and Buried Alive matches were really cool, but I was also a
Yeah.
child back then. So I mean,
That was awesome. That's a great line.
so I feel like it's a little difficult like when you're a kid. I feel like I feel like that's kind of a reason why like kids were so like drawn to the Undertaker is because he's cool. He possesses he like shoots like lightning
I
from his
thought he was
hands.
dead. I thought he was dead.
He was dead so many times and came back, and he really is like a demon or something. But the more you grow up, the more the veil gets pulled away, and things happen, and that is what that is. But yeah, I guess I just always thought that I think the Inferno matches especially were cool, but I could imagine sitting front row and during one of those matches and trying not to pass out from heat strokes. So
Get your eyebrows singed off.
I could see why they don't do it anymore, but I just always thought they were kinda cool, but again, I was,
Yeah,
a kid back
it's
then, like,
it's
maybe a first blood match,
it
like
it's hard to come up with a new concept for, like, a gimmick match, like,
yeah,
that's never been done before because, like, this is the craziest thing too about time is, like, you realize, like, we're at that age where, like, wrestling's already been around for, like, over 100 years.
yeah, it's been a
Yeah,
while.
yeah, like, there's not much left you can do to be like, "Wow, that has never been done before," because I think about it like how do we evolve from a wrestler like Pac or a wrestler like Ricochet where
Yeah,
in 10, 15 years down the road they're going to be like, "Oh, that was innovative for that time, but
yeah,
this guy is doing this and it's a guy like that can flip in the air like 8 times or something like,
yeah,
yeah,
literally.
like how what is going to be the next evolution because how do we go from like a Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock to a Will Osprey or a Pac or a Ricochet. Like that's a
Yeah.
clear evolution of like wrestling. So like what is it going to be like in 10 years when we're like, yeah, okay, wow, he does a 630 senton. Big deal. A double moonsault.
Big whoop.
Yeah, big whoop. This guy does a
Yeah.
flippity doo dah day. All freaking like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's just the wildest thing about wrestling is like, you go, well, what can be the next gimmick match that changes wrestling? And you're like, well, every single thing has been done. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
everything has been done, so how do we get to the next step and say, "Hey, this is different," you know? Like Lucha
Yeah.
Underground had that thing where they had the you had to collect the medallions for the belt, and they also had the Ultima Lucha match, which was like a battle royal, and then when you get down to the final 2, it becomes a pinfall match. That was a little different, but, it's just it's really hard to think of something that has never been done in wrestling before.
Yeah, and I feel like too, you also gotta be careful with like the fact that wrestling fans are very fickle
Oh,
nowadays. So
yeah.
it's just kind of like, oh well, that's a stupid match. That's stupid.
Right.
That's done. That's never gonna work. And then
Yeah,
it's just like you kind of
exactly.
have to prove them wrong and get them from the ground up because unless it's this, I don't know, revolutionary thing that we've never heard of before, there's always that risk of just a bunch of people are just gonna hate it just because it's different, and it's like
Right.
maybe silly to some people, but I don't know.
And there's just gonna be a bunch of people that hate it because their brains are trained to look for something to hate first. You know, it's
Yeah,
never like it's like you know how hard it is to convince someone nowadays that something, especially in wrestling, is awesome. Like
yeah,
it's like man, they really got to bust their ass for someone to be like, okay, that was pretty awesome. I'll give them credit. I always go back to because Jeff always makes it to the streams, and I always make fun of him anytime Jade and Bianca come on screen. Every time they come on the screen, I'm like, Jeff, look away! Don't look at the don't look
yeah.
at the
Don't look,
show.
don't look.
Don't look at the show. You're gonna get really angry. And like
Yeah,
trying to convince Jeff, who I know is going to listen to the episode, trying to convince him like Jade is actually very good. Like it was a
yeah,
good idea to keep her in the performance center for like 8 months. He will not have it. There is nothing that will convince this man that Jade Cargill is improving and that she has potential and that she's gotten better. He's not having it. And it's
yeah.
simultaneously the funniest and the most frustrating thing is because it's like, Jeff, please, buddy, please, please,
Please.
just give me one crumb of positivity out of you. And it's like, nope, it's the funniest thing. It is
Yeah.
the funniest
It
thing.
it just be like that
Yeah,
sometimes. Like,
Jeff is great. He's great.
we love Jeff. All right, so that was all of Mike's questions. So, Mike, thank you as always.
Thank you,
We
Mike.
appreciate the support. All right, so our last 5 questions come from Mom. So, our thoughts on Kevin pile driving Randy.
Mm, what a big moment.
Institutionalize him because he needs it.
But I mean, honestly, you got to give credit to commentary and to creative
Yeah,
to take that gamble to be like, hey, let's make it known like the pile driver was a banned move in the WWE,
yeah,
kind of like peeling back the curtain a little bit, you know. And
yeah,
I think honestly, that is kind of what set it off because if you look at it, it's just a pile driver. It didn't look all that devastating, but it was like they instantly went into serious mode and
yeah.
like made it like the most like horrific traumatizing thing ever, you know. And it was just like, and
Mhm.
you hear Corey Graves is like, don't show the replay, don't show the replay, and they showed the
Yeah.
replay anyway, and he's like, ah, like,
Yeah, it's just like it's crazy how just a simple move, a
right,
simple pile driver caused that much chaos and
right,
it worked really, really well.
yeah.
Like you
Sometimes
just felt that crowd go, "Oh, this
Yeah,
is."
sometimes the simplest things are like the easiest way to get a reaction, you know?
Yeah.
And like Kevin Owens, like he leaves the ringside area, but he's constantly looking back as though to be like trying to come with the realization of what he had just done, you
Yeah.
know? And maybe he was remorseful, but he knows being remorseful is not going to get him anywhere. Again, this entire situation, because it's not just Randy Orton now, it's Randy Orton, it's Cody Rhodes, it's the
Mhm.
entire bloodline, it's Sami Zayn. All of this is going to send Kevin Owens into a downward spiral. We are
Oh, and it
Yeah,
started.
and we're finally going to get what we've always wanted to get, which is we needed the rivalry that was Kevin Steen and El Generico
Yeah.
in the WWE. They captured it in NXT, but who was running NXT at the time? You
Triple
know,
H.
and now, you know, we never got that feeling on the main roster, but eventually, I mean, you just gotta do it.
Just do it.
You just
Do the
gotta
thing.
do it. It's gonna happen, and it's probably gotta happen within the next 6 months or so. Because I
Yeah.
mean, it just fits in the story. Okay, he's already had the beef with Cody. He's got the beef with Randy. Once he finishes the beef with Randy, he can go back to Cody. Once he's done with Cody, why not move on to Sammy? You know, and
Yeah.
it's just like
Go down the line.
right. It's just keeps that continuation of just story after story after story. This is one thing I said last night on stream, which you should check out, twitch.tv/ringside rundown. How do you like that plug?
Yeah, nice.
But
Great.
I said the one thing about WWE programming right now is every single thing on the show has a purpose. There
Yep.
is no filler. There is no throwaway. There is no, this is, we need to put this there because we need to fill up some time. Everything on the show has a purpose, its own individual story, which is something we haven't had since the Attitude Era. So
Yeah.
it's really refreshing, and it's just downright scary what's going to happen to the mental psyche of Kevin Owens.
Yeah, this poor
Yeah,
guy.
I
You
mean,
gotta feel for him at least a little bit. Maybe, don't break someone's neck, but
I
also
feel for him, but again, it's like I can't even show that sympathy because he's just downright scaring the hell out of me. You know,
yeah.
like it's like like again, as the kid, Kevin Owens, you're scaring the hose. Like you got to stop, man. Like you
Stop
just
it.
stop. Like they still want to be your friends. They just want to do what's right. Like
Yeah,
it's like
you're being a jerk. Like, stop being a jerk.
he's being a jerk because if you think about it, he's so blinded. His whole reason for being this way right now is the people that I thought were my friends are not really my friends. They have turned their back on me. But in
Yeah,
reality, if you analyze the situation with a healthy brain, you're like, no, man, they're just simply doing what's right. What they're doing has no bearing or effect on your friendship or how they
yeah,
feel about you. He's just feeling jealous, I guess, because the attention's not on him, or he feels like they don't have sympathy for what the bloodline did to him. But again, it's like, do you not believe that people can change? Like
yeah,
this is the whole thing that I keep saying, is that the reason WWE is so hot right now is because everything on the shows is relatable. Again, look at this situation right now. Kevin Owens, for some reason, does not believe that people have the capacity to change, and that other people have to recognize that. And if those people need help, you come to their aid because that is the good thing to do. Again,
yeah,
it has no bearing on the friendship that Kevin Owens has with these people, but he's just so jealously blinded and felt slighted that he has to beat down Cody Rhodes and he has to beat down Randy Orton and everything like that. It's an insane story, but you can't feel like you've never seen a situation like that happen in real life.
yeah. It's just you, you never understand mental illness
Right,
until you have
exactly.
it.
Yeah,
And
yeah. It's a
yeah, it's great.
it's a crazy thing where, like, if you break it down and you really think about it, you're like, oh, they're doing that. Like, like it's
Yeah,
that's the way it goes.
yeah. Life imitating art
There
sometimes.
you go.
That's great. Um, okay, so mom asked this question because I feel like by default I asked this question, and so she just wanted us to talk about it. Why is Anna Jay getting another title shot?
Mm.
I would love to know the same. I'd love to know as well because here's my thing. So, so you had that match on Collision last week, a few weeks ago.
Mm.
Pretty good match. It wasn't bad. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't like the best match in like Rampage or Collision history, but it was good.
Mm.
Anna Jay loses clean. Mariah, like, rolled her up, pinned her, 1, 2, 3. Why the hell are we getting a rubber match? And if Anna Jay loses, she can't challenge Mariah anymore. First off, I feel like AEW leans into that a little too much sometimes because where have we heard this before? We've heard this in AEW numerous times where it's like, oh, well, if XYZ happens, I'm not challenging for this title again as long as this person's champion. It's just
Right.
like, okay, you're running it a little too ragged, but again, what has Anna Jay done to deserve another like a rematch? Like
Like
what's up with that? It doesn't make sense. Like,
she's vastly improved.
oh yeah.
Um
Yeah, she has.
she has vastly improved. But again, it's like you said, I mean, I wouldn't have hated, okay, she lost to Mariah Clean, which is obviously the, I don't see in any world, this world or the next, where Anna Jay beats Mariah May for the title now.
No.
But it's a situation where, okay, she had a decent showing against the champ. let's put her in a feud that has nothing to do with the title, so let's put her in a
Mhm.
feud with somebody, and then you put
Yeah.
her in a feud with another person after that that has kind of bigger stakes, like maybe you do a rematch and the second rematch is a gimmick match, and then you can revisit a championship match with Anna Jay and then go from there, because at that point there's enough stock in Anna Jay that she's built up a couple wins to get herself back in the picture. And then in that
Yeah.
time frame as well, whoever is the champion should have built up a strong enough title reign to where you're like, okay, maybe they can retain it or maybe they lose it and Anna Jay becomes the new champion. It's a toss up, you know?
Mhm.
But that's the problem, is that they have a very weird strategy and philosophy when it comes to building up people to put them in these championship positions, whether they win or lose the championship. It's just like, I guess in my brain as a fan, I'm always kind of like the old school logical way of doing it, which is build this person up so that way
Yeah.
when you want to put them in the championship picture, they kind of look like a legitimate threat, you know?
Yeah.
And so again, it's just like, and again, it all goes back to Anna Jay lost the first time, which is okay because like literally nobody was expecting her to win. All they
No.
wanted was a good enough performance, which is what they got. So if you set her off to win the next two matches, you know, or the next three, and then you could put her back in there and it makes sense. Now the way they doing it now is exactly the reception that everybody has, which is what you said. It's like, why are we doing this? Like, what was the point of her losing clean the first time?
Yeah, because it's like, how is this going to benefit her?
Right. Because
She's done nothing to, again, like you said, she's done nothing. It sounds terrible, but it's the truth that she's done nothing to prove that she deserves a rematch. They just gave her another rematch just because they felt like it. And then when she inevitably loses yet again, whether it's clean or maybe Mina gets involved, maybe something happens, but she's still going to lose. And then no one's going to care anymore. There's going to be no sympathy. There's going to be no anything because everybody right now is where I am and you are, where it's like, why is this even happening in the first place? So, regardless of if she loses, which she will, why are we supposed to feel bad for her if she loses? Because she shouldn't have even had this match again.
right.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I don't know why. Sometimes AEW just does these things where I'm just like, what are you thinking? Because what has she done other than like, okay, maybe Mariah ran her mouth and Anna Jay got mad about it, so now that's why she gets a title shot. So apparently the champion just has to run their mouth about their opponent, and then they just give that just automatically means they have to put the title on the line again. Like it makes no sense. It makes no sense. I don't like it. Of course Mariah is gonna mop the floor with her again. It's still gonna be a good match. Don't get me wrong, but we love Mariah in this house, so
Yeah.
she's not losing.
Right. And
But it's just like, what good is that gonna do for either of them, really? Because it's just like Mariah doesn't have to prove herself to Anna Jay. She beat her already.
right.
There's nothing more to it. And if Anna Jay loses, she's at the bottom of the barrel again. Like, no one's gonna care. So you just shot her like in the foot for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
I like I said, I just don't understand it.
No, I agree. I agree. It's not logical booking.
No, it's really not. And it's funny that you say that because the very next question, I have a feeling you have some heated opinions on. Mom says, as I'm sure you and I both agree, that this whole MJF gauntlet, you have to win three times to face me stipulation is just stupid. It's a
Hmm.
triple threat already, so why are we doing this?
Yeah, like just make it the triple threat. Just
Well, my thing is, why does it need to be a triple threat? Why does Rodney need to get
I mean,
involved?
ultimately Roddy doesn't need to. I
He doesn't, so why are we throwing him in
I
there? It's
think
between
he
MJF and
yeah,
Adam. Like, that's it.
I honestly think this is like hey, we have this amazing, triple fudge chocolate cake. Hey, let's just throw a bunch of Nutella on top of it anyway. Like, like
Yeah, and it's just like,
it's just like
we don't need
you
it.
don't
We're
need
like,
it.
we don't need it. Like, I get that the whole Roddy's gonna help his friend, which I mean, that makes sense. But what? There's no point
I
for
think
him being in this match.
and
Like, it doesn't make sense.
I agree with you. But if he has to be included in the match, I think they need to dial it back with the whole I'm just doing it because Adam is my friend and I'm sticking up with for my friend. Like you can
Yeah.
have that element, but also have the element that Roddy wants to win because Roddy's a competitor. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he should want to win. Not only that, but like it's just Roddy can be like, "Hey, you left us. You know,
Yeah.
you left us and then when you came back, you didn't even want to acknowledge us that we
Yeah.
existed. You said
Mhm.
you automatically came back and said, I need to do this on my own. You guys stay the fuck back here. And it's
Yeah.
like, damn, you didn't even give us a choice. You know?
Mhm.
So like, yeah, Roddy can want to stand up for his friend because that's what friends do. But Roddy's also Roddy. Roddy's also a competitor. Roddy knows as if he can eke out a win against MJF, if he can pin MJF, how
Mhm.
does that not put him in the conversation for some sort of title? You know, a
Yeah.
world title, you know?
Yeah, it's just you would think they'd learn from this whole MJF Adam thing to like not make it overcomplicated, but clearly I feel like they're just diving headfirst into it at this point because the thing that's already annoying is that yeah, you already beat two-thirds of the House of Black, which is just like what the fuck ever. We're used to that at this point. But then you have the third match against Takeshita, and you think Takeshita's gonna lose to Adam Cole. Like, what is going on? Like, why is this? I get that they called in the whole favor to Don Callis and whatever, but Don Callis, all he has to do is just show a random person in the locker room money, and that's how you get his next opponent. You don't. He is in the middle of all this stuff with Fletcher and Ricochet and inevitably Osprey when he comes back, so I don't think he can really afford to lose to Adam Cole to further another story that has nothing to do with him. It's just I don't understand why they do this sometimes where they weave these stories in between each other that have nothing to do with each other
They
and can only just destroy something.
they this is gonna sound horrible, but
But
but they try to do what WWE is doing.
yeah, not doing it very
Not
well.
doing because WWE they do that thing where they kind of weave multiple stories into one, but the one thing that WWE does if it has to make ultimate 100% sense. You know,
Yeah.
to where when it
Yeah.
happens you're like, "Oh, wow, that's crazy." You know, and it's just like, yeah, AEW sees that and it's cool. And I'm not saying AEW shouldn't try to implement that. That's just creative thinking in an entertainment business.
They're just not good at it
It's
right
just not
now.
good at it right now. Like they're messing it up. They're messing it up. They're
Like
botching it.
you need to practice it before you put it into the ring. But the problem is that they don't have the writing team to go over this and go, "Hey, this actually isn't going to work because X, Y, and Z." They just see it as but then again, like we've said before, maybe Tony looked at it and go, "Oh, Adam's great, Takesha's great. It's another dream match or something." I don't know, maybe not a dream match, but it's just like, "Oh, sounds really good on paper." And then you put it into practice and it makes no fucking sense because the only reason that this storyline is together is because MJF called in a favor for Callis. That's it. It has nothing else, nothing to do with anything else. But again, what the hell happens if Adam loses? Then the match doesn't happen at Full Gear, which we know it is. But how are you going to have him beat Takeshita? Is like Osprey going to cost him the match? Great, that's like the obvious choice. Like, what is? Just think things through for once. That's all we're asking. And clearly, that's not happening. But it's just like,
It's one of those things where like you have to have the type of hindsight to go over every single aspect of, well, what if this happens, well, what if this happens, what if they respond this way, what if they respond this way, what kind of response will we get if we do this or this. Like you
yeah,
have to cover every single base when it comes to this stuff, or else people on the internet who literally have nothing else better to do but be miserable are going to
Yep.
instantly start poking holes in everything you do. And then when they poke too many holes, people are going to be like, well, are these people idiots? Like,
Yeah,
so it's just like you have to have that hindsight that like you can't just throw shit at the wall, see what sticks, and then run with it. You have to cover all your bases. It's like a chess move where the best chess players they think 5, 6 moves ahead. You have
yeah,
to think that way in terms of creatively. We have to think 5, 6 months down the road and script out this story and don't pivot unless it's like super necessary that we have to go to a plan B. And if at the end of the day, if people say, well, that story didn't hit as well as we thought it would, but at least they followed something worth logic. You
yeah.
know,
It's just you shouldn't have to think that hard
right,
to justify why this is happening.
right,
If you have to fully get into super critical thinking mode,
hmm,
that's not
right,
good. That's like not good at all.
right.
So,
Keep it simple,
yeah.
stupid.
Yes,
Remember
exactly. And
that?
they just don't know how to do that sometimes. And it's just like, oh, this is fine, I guess, but fuck.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's a great time. Um, okay, so the rest of the mom's questions are all AEW, so we'll just stick. We got two more. So, this one's more of a comment. It's just thank God DMD is back wrestling. Yeah, I'm not. I'd love to say I know what's going on or have an idea of what's going on, but I'm just not understanding these like extended absences between matches because last time we saw Britt was in Britsburg, which
Right,
of course she was going to win there.
right.
And then it's like, and then she has that match with Willow, if I remember correctly, a couple weeks after that, to like who was going to be the number one contender for Mariah or something. And then she's gone again. So it's just like, or no, it was supposed to be her and Will, and then she got sick, and now it's just like, what is going on? Like, all right, now hold on, we're gonna do some live looking up right now.
We don't have an in-house producer
No, I wish
when it comes to this stuff.
be a lot easier if we could, but it's just like I'm not getting what's I just don't know what's going on. Okay, so her last match was literally Pittsburgh, the 5-year anniversary show. She beat Serena, which of course we expected because
Mhm.
it's Pittsburgh. She doesn't lose in Pittsburgh,
Right.
because we don't allow it. She was supposed to face Willow to see who was going to be the next contender for Mariah's title, but then she got sick. So then it turned into that 4-way, what the hell ever it was. But she's been gone ever since. And so it's been over a month and a half since we're going to see her because she's wrestling, I mean, as of this recording tonight on Dynamite. But it's just like, why? Why are we doing this? Like, it was almost 2 months in between All In and the Pittsburgh show, and now it's almost a month and a half in between that show and this match. It's just like I don't get what's going on.
Mhm.
It's weird. It's really weird. I don't know if they're just and again, this is just like guesses maybe because if we knew what was going on, we'd say it, but it's just like I don't know if they just like are taking extra precautions with her because of what's happened with her injuries and like the stroke and everything or the seizure. Is it are they just trying to like lessen the absolute vitriol that she's getting from the online wrestling community because that's getting really old, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just strange. It's just
Eh,
you just don't see it that often.
yeah, it's a very it's one of those things where you wish you were like a fly on the wall,
Yes.
where you
Yes.
can kind of understand what happens. It's one of those like if you had one question, you can get the correct answer for what would it be, and like, okay, what's going on with Britt Baker? Is she in the doghouse? Is she like, is she
Yeah.
hurt? Is what's going on? Nobody knows. And again, I guess it's a benefit in a way if you think about it, because then if nobody knows what's going on, then like there's no drama to report.
Yeah.
It's just people running wild with speculation. So Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where I wish I was a fly on the wall in, like, in that meeting room, in that conversation of, like, "What's the plan? What are we doing?" Like, you know
Yeah, like, help?
yeah, it's nobody knows. Nobody knows.
I just I don't know. It's just more stuff. Stuff and things, I guess. Um, but anyway, I'm glad she's back. Her and Penelope should be a good match. Glad Penelope's back too. They could always just use more bodies for the women's division.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should be good, hopefully. And then we'll see where it goes from there. Hopefully, Britt doesn't disappear for another month, month and a half after this. But
Hey,
I just, for my sake, for my sanity, I hope she doesn't. But I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
we shall see.
Yes, we will. And our final question of the night is who wins between Switchblade or Hangman at Full Gear, and why is it Jay White?
Ah,
So we know who Mom wants to win.
yeah, I think so.
I I don't know. I feel like they wouldn't have had this rematches if they weren't going to go for three. So I feel
Mm.
like I don't want to say it, but I feel like they may go for a third match here. So I feel like but then again by AEW logic, Jay can win again and they'll have a third match anyway, so who cares? I mean, I'd like for Jay to win, but I just have a feeling Hangman is because you can't have Hangman lose another big match, especially if he's on this tear that he's supposed to be on. So, I don't want her to get mad, but I feel like if that's the plan, of course, for all we know, Jay might win again, and that's the end of it, which is what I'd want. But I just feel like Hangman's going to win again, so they have another match. But I don't know when that would be. I don't think they'd wait until World's End, but we didn't think we were going to get this match, and yet we did. So I don't know. I don't know. I want Jay to win, but I just have a feeling Hangman's going to win.
Yeah, I'm really like it's crazy, like, this whole run that Jay White's been on since he's returned from injury, it's kinda like, man, you realize how good this dude really is.
Yeah,
Like
it's like funny how that
yeah,
works.
it's just like, he grabs the mic and he cuts his promo, and you're like, "Damn, this dude is just cool." Like,
Popping
yeah,
off. Yeah.
like, the way he talks, it's just like he just talks with, like, this smoothness and this
Yeah.
badassness that it just flows together, and it's just like, I wanna be that guy, you know what I'm saying? He
Yeah.
has that big energy where you're like, "Dude, I wanna be that guy."
Right.
But, like, as cool as that is, so is the unhinged, psychotic, like, Red Dead Redemption on crack cowboy known as Hangman Page. It's like this,
Yeah.
like, completely absence of mental capacity is just like it's kind of fun to watch because
Yeah.
you're watching a man slowly break away from sanity. Like the
Yeah.
moment he stuck Swerve with that syringe, it was like this man's
Oh,
this
don't get me started again. Ugh.
this means we have to do it. It's our
I
return
hate it.
episode. We have to do it. But
Ugh.
ever since that happened, it was like, okay, this man is gone, and I don't know if he's ever coming back. Like,
Yeah.
that's just the feeling that you get when it comes to Hangman Page is like he's not all there, you know,
Oh God, no.
and then like for like the cool thing that AEW did was they gave Jay White that first win when nobody expected that to happen. You know,
Oh, not at all.
so I was like, wow, okay, everybody's ears perked up, like, okay, now we gotta lock in. So again, like the match the first time was good. So again, I can go either way, but if they go with Hangman winning, we get that third rubber match, and I'm down for that too. I can't complain.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna complain either.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like a okay, I guess we're gonna do
I
this, I
mean I
guess.
mean
Like,
uh, I mean, if they go with that, at least, at least they have that. Like, and
yeah.
AEW gets it right every once in a while.
Yeah, they have their moments and
Right.
there's others where it's like, what the fuck are you doing? But
Yeah.
again, that's just AW in a nutshell. But
That's a good way to put it.
It makes you cheer and then shake your head at the same time,
Right.
but it is
We
what it
do it out
is.
of love either way.
Yeah, it's all for the love of wrestling,
Yeah,
right? That's why we're all here.
exactly.
So one stress at a time. Anyways, but that is all of the questions.
All right. Wow. We haven't done it hasn't gotten to this feeling in quite a while. It's only been 2 weeks, but it feels like it's been forever. You
Yeah,
know?
it really has.
Yeah. But I'm really happy. This episode was a lot of fun, and I feel like,
Yeah,
it did what we always do best, and that's cover a wide variety of topics that are happening in the world of professional wrestling.
yeah. Again, I feel like we say it all the time, but it really is the truth. It's not just like us hyping ourselves up or whatever, but I really don't think we've ever had a bad episode. Like
No, I don't think
even
so.
any of the newer stuff or even in the like older episodes, we still had a good chemistry back
Oh,
then.
yeah.
It's just we just refined it
Yeah, oh, yeah.
to what it is now.
It's one of those things, like, I truly realize, especially with podcasting, the more you do something, the naturally better you get at it. You know,
Yeah.
you do it so many times that you pick up on, "I didn't like the way this felt when I did it, so I'm gonna do it this way and see if that works." It's just you get accustomed to figuring out what works and what sounds best for you, and like you said, we've been doing this since, June of 2021. You know,
Yeah.
we're coming up on the closing of 2024, and I really feel like now we have like no intention of like slowing down, and we really haven't.
No.
Even though we haven't had the as many podcast episodes recently, like you said earlier, we're still moving along with the Twitch streams. I'm on stream every Monday, a Wednesday, Friday, Saturday for PLEs. I do AEW pay per views in the Discord. Speaking of Discord, this Thanksgiving, for anybody that doesn't have any plans or anything to do with any loved ones, if you want to hang out with us in Discord, I'm gonna be showing like 2 or 3 movies and maybe some football. You know, just so that way people who don't have anything to do don't have to feel so lonely on a holiday that's geared towards spending time with your loved ones and family members and stuff like that. So be
Yeah.
posting in the description the link to the Discord that you can join up on. But again, always on Twitch doing Twitch streams for AEW and WWE programming. The Discord. There's the podcast. This podcast is available on all major platforms that you can listen to podcasts, like Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Good Pods, Radio Republic. Basically, everywhere you listen to podcasts. And if it's not available where you listen to podcasts, just contact us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at the handle at Ringside Rundown. Let us know what podcast platform you use, and we will get you an episode of that show on a silver platter. But the caveat is you have to give us back the silver platter because we only have one. And
101.
101, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
Shay's mom gave it to us, and we can't give it away, so you got to give it back. Um,
No, I don't want to make her mad,
yes,
please. Like,
yes, let's
I
not do
can't.
that. If for some reason we can't find the episode on the platform that you use, it is available on YouTube. And YouTube, we have just crossed over 900 subscribers. So the hope is
Yeah.
by the end of 2024, we hit that 1K subscriber mark on YouTube. I think we can make it happen.
I think we
I
could.
think we can make it happen, but we're going to try. That's the goal. Again, we're also available on TikTok for all highlights of the streams that we do on Twitch. That we are really, really close to 1,000 followers on TikTok. And I didn't even have to do any
Insane.
goofy dances.
No, no TikTok
No,
dances, no influence or
no,
anything.
none of the influencer stuff. I just sat
Just
there.
hard work.
I just know it was really just me making funny noises at wrestling.
Hey, hey, and it
And it
works,
works.
right?
So like, thank you to everybody who's been showing us love on TikTok, YouTube. On TikTok, the handle is ringside underscore rundown. On YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel at ringside run pod. Again, we're available on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Ringside rundown. I think I covered everything. I mean,
I think so.
it's just a whole bunch of stuff. Shay, where can they get in touch with you?
You can find me talking all kinds of nonsense and reacting to stuff on Twitter at Shailene Hickson 21. Anybody that sees it knows I have a wide variety of interests that I talk about. However, I feel like so or I'm just screaming about something. I feel like 9 times out of 10 it's just me quote tweeting something, screaming about it. So
Yeah. I
yeah.
basically use, if it's not the wrestling Twitter, my personal Twitter is just me screaming to avoid, like it's my online diary or something.
I mean, that's what
Yeah.
Twitter's for,
Yeah,
right?
right?
Like
Like, yeah, maybe I should just look at it that way. It's just an online diary. But
pretty
yeah,
much.
follow us along so that way you can keep up with the content and everything that's going on. We're coming up on the end of the year. It's going to be a good one. We're going to keep pumping out these episodes once we get to episode 150. So mark this down so that way you guys can start getting ready. Once we get to episode 150, it's going to be another Ask Us Anything episode. We did that episode back at episode 100, and you guys went so crazy for that one that we had to split it up in two separate episodes. So that we're gonna do another Ask Us Anything episode at episode 150. This is episode 134. How crazy is that?
It's insane. It's like it'll never, again, we've said it before, time's just a myth.
There you go. Time is just a myth, ladies and gentlemen. Do us a favor, share this episode with your wrestling friends and wrestling family members. Let them know about the Ringside Rundown podcast. Thank you so much for listening. For Shay Hickson, my name is Erik Vasquez, and we shall see you next week for another episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast. Take care.
See you later, guys.